Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Today, I want to talk to you about Pokemon cards. Something that I have never collected, but I've always gotten them for my kids and now my grandkids, right? And uh, my grandson, who is 11, decided that he's outgrown Pokemon cards. Now, he said this at first about a week ago, and we're like, yeah, he's getting into that age, he's about to be a teenager. He wants to, right? He's getting that influence from the other kids at school. Um, but it's something that we've always done ever since he's been like 4 or 5 years old, right? He's been collecting those, and every time I hung out with him, take him to the comic book store and stuff like that. That's always what he's asked for. Whenever he's asked for money, presents, whatever, it's always Pokemon cards. And I put, there's a shorts on it that I put on there so you can see some of the cards that that he doesn't want anymore, right? That he said he's too old for, and he just brought them back to me because I guess he thinks that I collect them, or that I like Pokemon cards too. Now, previous to that, I had the way he first saw them is because he saw a collection that I had here in the house that was for my son, right? And I had that for decades. I had that for decades, and that's when he first saw it. He wanted some, right? And we started buying them from way back in the day, right? And value-wise, over the years, how much money we spent on those between myself, his aunts, everybody else's parents, it's thousands of dollars probably, I want to say, because it's the only constant that he's asked for, right? In Christmas he'll ask for like a basketball or something like that, but mostly Pokemon cards most of the time. And a lot of time that we spent together, that's what we've been doing. We'd go to Walmart or GameStop, whatever. We always pick up a pack, and that's what we've been doing for years. So it was a little hard, I got a little of my feelings, I guess, when he brought them over, and he brought all of them over, like every single one, even some sports cards that he had, like everything. He wants nothing to do with card collecting anymore. He's just outgrown it, right? That's what he said, which is, on its own funny. And I was like, okay, buddy, I understand, He asked me for a basketball, right? He asked me to get him a basketball. So, he wanted a genuine NBA basketball. That's his thing now, right? So I went over to the store, and got him the official NBA basketball that he's been wanting. And for Christmas, he's asking for a basketball hoop. Now, he's let me just say this, he's not basketball size, if you know what I mean, but he loves the sport. So, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like this is not going to be part of our everyday now. We're going to interact differently because he's not going to want to do any of these things. Now he's going to want to do other things. And great, right? I mean, time goes by and, you're into different things. Maybe now we go to sporting events together instead of just, going to the comic book store as he gets older. I'm sure he's going to want sports gears and stuff like that, and he watches me watch football and basketball are the two sports that he sees me watching on TV. I like going to baseball games. I'm not a huge fan of baseball on TV unless I'm betting on it, if you know what I mean. But baseball is a sport that I like taking them to go watch. Like you have to go to the stadium. To me, that's true baseball, right? Regardless, guys, I know that he's going to be back someday, just like my son that I told you about the collection. My son just last year, he was, looking at the Pokemon cards, and then he's like, oh yeah, I remember this and that and the other. And he's like, oh, I wish I still had mine and all this stuff. And there I go. I grant your wish, right? And I pull them all out. It's stuff that I'm sure is quite expensive, but it's not about the money, guys. It's about that time that we had together back in the day, right? When him and I were collecting these things and buying packs. And man, back then when I was buying him those, we were on the struggle, man. I was, it was worse than paycheck to paycheck, right? It was like we were behind a week and a half and getting paid, But instead of buying whatever extra we would, just buy Pokemon cards, you know, I had great memories of that, and it is my hope, right, that I'm still around when my grandson decides, hey, you know what? I wish I still had those old Pokemon cards. Except in his case, the collection is so much bigger, guys. Right now, as we speak, I'm about to go to the store, right? I'm going to go to the comic book store and, try to get sleeves and card, sheets and stuff like that. Because some stuff he still has in boxes. I have to go buy some more binders because I want to keep everything in binders, right? To keep it, nice and clean for him, in the future. And I'm looking at some of these cards and I go, wow, I wonder how much this is worth. And I wonder how much that's. I have no idea. Right? I have no clue. I don't keep up on the market. And then one of my guilty pleasures right now, when I go to sleep, believe it or not, I watch a channel. I think it's called Wentz CG or something like that. I can't remember what it is. But it's just this guy opening packs of cards that people buy, right? And he says, oh, I got this one, I got that one. I have no clue, guys. I have really no clue what these Pokemon are anymore. I'm old school Pokemon fan, right? When I used to watch with my son, we used to watch the cartoons. And the first set of Pokemons, I remember kids were playing everywhere. I remember him going to, we went to a McDonald's and he had his Pokemon set out, and there was a kid there with his mom, and he's like, "Oh, you want to battle?" So then we had to wait for the kids to, to start playing. So we're sitting at McDonald's for like an hour or something. While these kids are playing, having a Pokemon battle of some sort, however they were playing. But yeah, man, just great memories, But I'm a little nostalgic, thinking about those times with my son. Now this time with my grandson, that is, ending at this point. He wants to do other things. He wants to move on, but man, I'm really gonna cherish those times, because when I was collecting with them, when we were talking about Pokemon cards, it was like I was reliving the times that I had with my son, right? And now that he's, that he's outgrown them, because he's a young man, I'm just hoping, man, that I'm around for when he comes around again and, says, hey, I wish I still had those cards, Grandpa. Because I would love to pull them out, right? And it's not because of the value, whatever they're worth. My son doesn't need to sell his, and he keeps them, so he keeps them for his son. And I'm hoping to do the same for my grandson. But man, whenever kids grow up, man, it happens so quick, guys. It happens so quick. So just cherish them, cherish those moments with the Pokemon cards, because you don't know when they're going to end. All right, humans, thank you for joining me. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you're a member, there's some codes out there. There's going to be another Nintendo code sometime in the near future. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining me. Take care.